Did we figure it out?
Yeah, we figured it out.
Look at that.
I think the problem was on your end, not mine.
Yeah, I know. I logged back out and logged back in. What else is new? It's like this whole new world is like me trying to figure out technology.
Well,
like
this is my first ever live Instagram story, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, you can join my technological Luddite club. We'll all meet. We'll take the bus to some central location and we'll all meet in person once we're allowed to like travel again.
Once we're allowed to travel, yeah.
Cool.
Hopefully that's sooner than later.
Hey, speaking of that, like I don't want to like drag everybody down, but I mean the world's a mess.
Yeah.
How are you doing? Like how are you personally? Before I ask, like,
I have my up days and down days, probably like everybody else, but everything happened so fast that kind of we didn't have a whole lot of time to process it. We were making decisions daily, hourly, based on some instances when this kind of thing hit. But we've kind of settled into our routine, and we kind of see what the new normal is going to look like for the foreseeable future. And hopefully we're only talking about another month or 2 months max, but
don't tell my daughter. Don't tell 2 months to my daughter. I think she'll totally lose her shizzo when I get home tonight if I say 2 months.
Well, I mean, we're trying to be obviously optimistic, but also realistic, based on business planning. And this is just a hard thing to plan for, but we've made a lot of adjustments in our system. A lot of our businesses transitioned to online sales, which is great. Not enough to cover, the losses of shutting the stores down, but we're hanging in there, and feel fortunate that our customers have stepped up, and the support we've received over the last couple of weeks has been tremendous.
I think you mentioned to me last week sometime that your internet sales have more than doubled.
Yeah, we were up in March about 170%. April looks like it's going to be about double. So we're, obviously that's fantastic, and if that's the new business model for us, we'll kind of run with it. But we obviously want to get the stores open as soon as it's safe and possible, and kind of get back to some semblance of a normal life.
Yeah, like how many? So I kind of know your story. I was thinking about this last night. I was talking to my wife, and I was, so this is becoming like a normal thing for us in the new normal, like trying to find a chocolatier to chat to on Fridays. And this is number 2 in the series. Chris Harvey was first, and we're on this Chris track. We're on this Chris thing.
Get all the Chris's out of the way first.
Christophe Morel, maybe. Do you think you could give me an audience with Christophe Morel next week? And I'll
get that. What about Chris Kohler? There's a lot of Chris's around. So
that's a good one. Chris Kohler's a good one. As I got to get out of the whole like California thing for a little bit. But
right.
So I think we met maybe 10 years ago. I had my own company at the time. I was doing some consulting for Albert Ooster Imports, and the sales rep for AUI brought us into your shop, and you gave us an audience of about 3.5 minutes because you were super busy.
Yeah, that was back in the days when I was actively in production. And
right, I got the 1 minute in the front of house. Would you like to try a piece of chocolate? The 2-minute tour, and then like promptly was shown the door. But
well, we'd love to have you back.
No, I mean I think that's the first time we met. I think so. It's like been like 10 years we've probably known each other, and then we've kind of like we've worked together on a couple projects here and there, and we've done some other things along the way. But thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we started back in 2003, so we're celebrating our 17th birthday this year, which is pretty kind of mind-boggling actually that I think about it.
But what did you do before? Because I don't know that story.
So I was a pastry chef for probably 6-7 years, and prior to that, I cooked savory food. I wanted to be a chef, own a restaurant someday. That was kind of my goal ever since I was in high school. I got out of college and was going to go to the CIA. I took the tour, did all that fun stuff, and I didn't have any restaurant experience, so I went to get that and just started cooking in restaurants. I was fortunate enough to find some people good mentors to take me under the wing, and realized I had such a passion for it that I'd rather kind of cut my teeth the hard way and learn on the ropes. And so someday the joke is I'll make it to culinary school someday. So we just haven't gotten there yet.
But you're a Kansas City guy? Is that right?
Kansas City guy, yeah.
All along.
Went to college and the University of Nebraska, and then I went to Vegas for a while and then came back. And when I was a pastry chef here at a restaurant called the American Restaurant, it's a pretty famous restaurant, a lot of great James Beard Award winners have come out of there. Bradley Ogden got his start there. Really fantastic program. That's when I started really focusing on making bonbons. So this would have been early 2000s, like 2000 to 2003 before I started my company.
Right.
And I never really thought I'd get into chocolate. This was a really organic kind of, trip getting to this point. But, we used to make chocolates to send out at the end of the meal with the mignardises, and customers started asking if they could buy them. And that was kind of the aha moment, like, hey, maybe there's something here,
Right. That's cool. I mean, I think, but it wasn't like one of those, I make it at home and I gave them for Christmas presents and,
No,
that kind of stuff.
we were making pretty, pretty good volume at the restaurant. We actually had a couple wholesale accounts. We started doing Dean and DeLuca and while I was still at the restaurant. So, back in 2001, 2002 is when we kind of really started launching this thing. And it just got to be pretty out of hand, volume wise right away. And I just kind of made the decision that this is what I wanted to do was was the space that I was in, I feel like I remember like warehouses and like I walked in a door and there was like this shop that was tiny, but it had a really cool bathroom. And then there was like this, behind a door, there was like this cavernous space where you were making chocolate. Like that's in my head. So,
like,
that wasn't our first location. I started in a 400 square foot room above a restaurant I used to work at. The owner of that restaurant was really nice to give me that space for free. And so we just started doing a little bit of phone order and wholesale. This, of course, was back in the time that before e-commerce. So
right.
We were actually, having to rely on phone orders at that time. And then really within about 6 months, we were starting to look for a new space because we were running out of room already.
Right.
So the space you saw was actually the third space. We moved for about every 6 months to 12 months until we got to that third space, and then we lasted there for about 10 years.
Right. But you were an early adopter of colored cocoa butter, right? I mean, in the industry. I mean, there were a couple people early that were doing some butter, like Norman Love was at that point, right?
Yeah.
And then there were a couple other people, but generally it was all still imported from France. It was usually all through PCB early on.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I mean,
yeah, and we did, we do half like molded bonbons, painted bonbons, and then half French style ganache with transfer sheets. That's always been our MO from the beginning, to get the, kind of this wide range of textures and eating experiences in a box of our chocolates.
Right. But I mean, I got to ask, is there an art background in there somewhere, or is that not?
No, I couldn't paint or draw to save my life, but for some reason it works on chocolate. So,
that's cool.
It just, it all made sense. And nothing in my life up until this point has kind of really grabbed me like bonbon making did. I kind of knew right away that this is going to be something I'm going to do for a long time.
Cool. So I know this, but other people don't. So you moved into this new space. You kind of changed up a little bit how you do business, right? And you found a new space where you were going to consolidate everything, right? Because you had some offsite storage here, and you had
we were working over 3 buildings. Kind of as we grow, and not having the resources to really just do what you want anytime you want. We just kind of would find Band-Aids, as we've grown. And really from day one too, the whole name of the game for us has been keeping up with demand. Even into this new space here, at holiday peak season time, it still is very challenging to keep up with demand.
Right.
But we were working over 3 buildings. We would make the chocolate in one building, wheel it next door to package it, and then we would drive it down to our warehouse and shipping center. And now we have all of that under one roof. So.
And a motorcycle parking lot.
And a motorcycle parking lot. You bet.
What more can you ask for? So let's do this. Because I know you and I talked a little bit earlier. You're going to give a tour, and then you have a nice little landing spot that you can sit down, and then we can talk for another 10 or 15 minutes once you're done, depending on how things are going. It doesn't look like anybody's asked any questions yet. It looks like somebody's really excited, though. That's all I saw.
Perfect.
OMG, I'm so
hopefully,
excited right now.
Save all the questions. We'll sit down and hopefully have a 20 or 30 minutes to pound those out. But I'll do a quick tour. We'll start kind of with the, how we kind of come into the shop and the flow of the product,
Right.
and track it all the way through. And there's not a whole lot going on today. Obviously, we're pretty quiet on Fridays usually this time of year anyway. And so no production happening today, but we'll be able to walk through and see everything.
Cool. So quick question about that. So we just wrapped up, everybody knows we wrapped up Easter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
so what's next for you? Like Mother's Day?
Mother's Day. Mother's Day is a quick turnaround time. It was only a 4-week difference between Easter and Mother's Day this year. So we just launched our Mother's Day collections today, actually. So I'll be able to show you a little bit about what we're doing there.
That's all on the website, I assume?
All on the website, yep.
ChristopherElbowChocolates.com.
Elbowchocolates.com.
Elbowchocolates.com.
It'll all get there. So
I got to do the NASCAR thing to at least once or twice, right? So like
Right.
we're going to talk about, there's got to be some value here for you spending 45 minutes with us this afternoon.
You bet.
Cool. So hey, we're your guests, so you show us
Okay.
around.
I'm going to turn the phone around, and then
Cool.
if you can't hear me or see anything, just let me know.
Cool. Awesome.
All right.
Ooh.
There we go. So actually, one cool thing about when we were able to build this building, we talked to the staff a little bit about what they wanted. And like they wanted a nice place to eat, right, and have a break. Our old buildings didn't have that, and they wanted a parking lot. So we built this we got a good great break room for them, and then we built this little outdoor patio. We can sit out and eat lunch, have a beer at the end of the day, and just have a really nice working environment for everybody.
How many people are on your team?
So we have 9 total in production. We have about 5 or 6 in post-production, 2 full-time in shipping, and then with office, retail, we have a total of about 34 people on staff. So, all right. So then when we come into the production room, this is our main production area here. This is about triple the space we had before. So we've got a lot of room to grow. There's still some empty room there. Everything on this side of the room here is all of our storage. And the great thing about building this place from the ground up is we were able to really focus on FDA protocols. So behind that closet door is our allergen storage. So we've been able to segregate anything, dairy, wheat, nuts, away from everything else. And we're able to kind of control that really well. This is our kind of production board that the team uses every morning. And then this is our chocolate storage room. We get the lights on here.
Hey, what are you using these days mostly? Or can you tell me? You don't have to tell me if you want to.
Primarily Valrhona. Valrhona and República del Cacao is pretty much most of the chocolate that we are using on everything.
Right.
All right. So gather ingredients, come around here. I've got a super organized team. So all of our tools, smallwares, and everything like that are all in boxes like that.
Right.
And then coming into this room, one good thing about this area too is we've been able to segregate every part of the process. So this is our cooking room. So anything that produces heat and humidity is contained in this room and gets exhausted out, so we can keep the chocolate room, where we're actually doing chocolate work on the floor, temperature and humidity controlled. So induction burners, we have a vacuum mixer, cooling table, big electric stove for making our big batches of caramels, ovens. We roast all of our own nuts and everything like that. So.
Okay, so I'm looking around. Was that Stefan under vacuum too? I didn't see.
It is, yes. Yes.
Nice.
We process all our ganache under vacuum.
Got it.
So then coming out here, this is our paint room. So obviously we do a lot of painting. So all the molds live in here and get painted in here and will stay in here until they're actually ready to come out onto production. So we just kind of built our own exhaust hood here with a exhaust fan. We use 2 kinds of airbrushes. One is kind of the Badger. I saw that last week, your 250s.
Yep.
We use those quite a bit. And then for our larger molds, we do have a one-shot. So we have these large 72 cavity molds.
Right.
We use a big Fuji airbrush for those, automotive airbrush, and we can crank through molds like crazy with those.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to interrupt for 1 second because we're getting some questions, and
Sure.
I just wanted to tell people that there's some people that got in late, or there were some problems early on in the feed. So Tomrick's going to have this posted on our YouTube channel, hopefully by the beginning of next week. And you can access that through our website as well at tomrick.com. Sorry, Chris, I just wanted to,
No problem.
it
No
looks like
worries.
some people. So the Fuji's originally is for automotive, you said.
Yeah, it'd be something that you would be able to see in a paint shop, and it's just for high volume, and it's actually pretty versatile. We can dial the air pressure way down and do, the flecking and get some different textures and designs. But it's really kind of built for our big molds. We still use the 250s quite often for some more detail work.
Do you temper your butter?
Yeah, we do temper butter. Yep.
Okay, cool.
There's nothing exciting in here, really. Dish room. We were excited because we didn't really have a dish room at the other place. So these kind of little things are fun for me, like all these little kind of things we weren't able to have that might not be exciting to everybody else. So, all right. So the main chocolate floor, once everything comes out here, we still do, even though we have a one shot, we still do a lot of handwork. Not everything we can do can run through the one shot. We have 2 LCM tempering machines. One's a 240 and then one's a 260, so 2 twin tanks there.
And they've been there since I was there, so those are...
Yeah, those have been there quite a long time. Our original machine was a Novichok in Rober. I bought this in October of 2003, and it's still running. So we've gotten we've gotten our mileage out of this thing. We feed them with some tanks so we can keep them running all day long. I'm seeing a couple questions I might do while I'm here. Total square footage we have, including offices, is 15,000 square feet.
A little bigger than the last place I was in.
A little bigger, yeah. We went from 3,000 square feet to 15,000, so this was nice.
Or 500 square feet in a basement or in an
Right.
attic to like 15,000.
Yeah, but as you can see, we've got quite a bit of room to grow still. So we've purposely kind of left this whole entire area here open for future growth, future equipment, as our production can grow,
Right.
And business grows. We really haven't had that kind of luxury before, so that's super exciting for me.
Cool. And then the other question that came up is, do you run your molds through your dish machine, or how are you washing molds?
We don't. We typically don't like to wash our molds, so I'm on that. I'm on the camp. I would have to pay a full-time staff of 3 or 4 people just to do that. And my experience is that if things are done right, especially with the one-shot machine, right, those come out really nice. So we don't. We still will polish. Obviously, if we make a mistake or mess up or they crack and get some of the filling, and then yeah, we obviously will wash them and repolish everything. But we pretty much can get quite a lot of mileage out of the molds before we really wash them. All right, so coming through here, once all the product's done, this is our little photo booth here. So right, we do a lot of photos for Instagram and everything in-house. We have some talented people on staff that help with that. Then it goes into our packaging room.
Right.
So got a couple of people working in here today. So this is a lot of flurry of activity here, pretty much all the time. So packing up bonbons, these are where they would get packed into our gift boxes, or they would go into our bulk boxes for longer term storage or for wholesale or shipping out to our stores.
Speaking of that, we haven't talked. So how many stores in Kansas City?
We just have one chocolate shop in Kansas City, and then we have one in San Francisco on the chocolate side. So right, you kind of see some of our Mother's Day products here, collection that I'll show you the main thing later on. So got a really fun flavors and projects this year. So. Production-wise, number-wise, we go through probably I would say on average, 40 to 50,000 pieces a month comfortably.
Right.
Per week, we're doing 8 to 10,000 roughly per week. We've hit 100,000 pieces of production in 1 week. That's our kind of all-time total. That was typically would be around the holiday season when everybody's working, 6 or 7 days a week. But comfortably, 8 to 10,000 pieces a day is what our current system is built for.
Do you freeze?
We do, yeah. We have to going into the holiday season, otherwise we wouldn't be able to make enough.
Cool. Hey, so I'm going to answer a question. It sounds like consistently you do not, like somebody else asked if you freeze, that you don't polish unless you have to, unless disaster
Correct.
strikes.
Correct.
So, yeah, I mean, when I was there, and I use this story a bunch of times, because we, obviously at Tomric, one of our things is we recommend not washing molds, right? And I've used you as an example that, the first time I walked into your shop, your molds had product. I mean, they had chocolate on them, right? I mean, they weren't being washed every time, and
But if you would really take a closer look at those, and okay, there's chocolate and maybe cocoa butter on the outside, but the inside cavity is impeccably clean and shiny.
Right. I mean, so that's that's my take too. Is that if you've got good temper, right? I mean, and you've got good contraction, everything's going to come out of the mold, right? If you've done your job right. Especially you're talking about one-shotting, which is that how you're doing most of your work now? One shot?
No, I would say out of our 24 flavors, really only about 9 to 10 of them are on the one shot.
Okay.
We still do the ganache, the old-fashioned way slab, cut with a guitar and robe. We still have, some of the multi-layered pieces that we do. We'll still hand cast those. So.
Right.
Cool. All right. Everything comes out of there and then goes next door. This is where we would have had to driven the product down to our last place. So this is our warehouse and shipping center. And another thing I wanted to point out is the last room was a kind of the start of our cold chain, right? So 64, 63 degrees for longer term storage. Same with this room here. So these are all of our caramel filled bonbons, which have a 6-month shelf life. Right. And we vacuum seal and nitrogen flush, and we just keep those out at about 4 to 63 degrees room. These are all the ones that will go out to our San Fran store or our Kansas City store or wholesale, or build up for stock as we get into the holiday seasons and start rotating.
How do you get product to California? Is it go on an airplane or does it go?
No, we do LTL, refrigerated trucking. So we'll ship about a pallet or two a month.
Okay.
And then we also, the fresh ganache, we still make every week, and we FedEx out every week.
Got it.
So
cool.
All of our short shelf life pieces, the fresh ganache that, have a 4 to 6 week shelf life, we still produce those every week, and we ship those out fresh. So our shipping lines, we've got 2 shipping lines, both with a shipping computer that we pull our orders off of. This room, even though it looks super big, man, is still a bottleneck at the holiday times. This place is just humming at Christmas or Valentine's Day, and thousands of orders going out a day during our peak season. So it takes a lot of people to execute that.
Right.
So we do have packaging storage here. We've got a big freezer back there, a 15-foot by 34-foot long freezer that we do some of our longer-term storage in. Loading docks here are really nice to have, convenient to have, receiving all of our product in. So, that's kind of the end of that process there. And then the rest of there's our corporate offices here.
Right.
So we've got about 3 or 4 people that work up there. And then this is my favorite part of the whole place. This is my test kitchen.
Cool.
So this was something I was super excited to build, because in our last place, if I really wanted to do something, I had to kind of go in on the weekends, just to have table space. Or if I did do something during the week and I'd get pulled away, the staff gets mad at me for leaving a dirty mess behind. So I think everybody's happy to have me stuck in my own little room here. But this is a very important part of our business, because this is kind of our R&D center. This is our war room, so to speak. We plan all of our new projects here, new flavors. We have a little fun here. This is actually going to be designed to. We wanted to do some classes of some sort in here eventually. We don't know when, but that would be something in the future coming. So
lots of Valrhona bags.
Lots of Valrhona bags. Always have pretty much every chocolate they do on hand. There's this really nice piece of equipment over here.
I may remember that.
I don't know if you're familiar with this one.
Yeah, I've seen one of those before. That's a Selmy panner. How much panning do you do? Do you have a lot of panning stuff right now?
We always have about 6 or 7 panned items, a few different kind of nuts, and then we do a fair amount of malt balls. So
got it. Is that just your lab panner, or does everything get done in that?
That's our production panner. Yeah.
Cool.
That's the only one we've got.
Right. I mean, it's 20 kilos, right? I mean,
yep.
I should know, right? So the door in the back is being asked about. I'm assuming that's a walk-in behind you, right?
Yeah, it's a walk-in behind me here.
So there's a lot of people that don't believe, by the way, there's been all these comments about like polishing molds and getting cocoa butter off the molds. And like people are like, what do you mean you don't polish? You know, but I mean, I don't generally, you know, I mean, if your butter's in good shape and tempered and the chocolate's in good shape, I find you can get pretty good shine without it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's hard to see the shine I think on the video. I mean, these are pretty darn shiny, if you ask me. Might not be coming through over video, but this is actually our Mother's Day collection that we just launched. So 8 brand new flavors on that one.
Right.
And then we're also working on new packaging. We're going to kind of do a little bit of branding this year. So we're going to totally revamp our kind of core collection. We typically like to change a few things every year, but this year is going to be a pretty aggressive change for us. So these are just all different samples of paints and things like that we're working on, designs, flavors.
Right. Hey, so somebody asked, is your test lab bigger than your first kitchen?
It is probably about exactly the same size.
So it's like 500 or 600 square feet in there.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking specifically about
right.
like the size of that room.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, you know, we're pretty fortunate here. We're, you know, in the Midwest, we've got access to, you know, the cost of doing business has really helped us, you know, kind of been able to grow over the years. So I'm super fortunate to have this. I finally, you know, it only took 15 years, but, you know, so.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't been out here yet. I mean, that was kind of like our take too when we moved into a new space about 1.5 years ago, where I was in 1,000 square feet that, you know, it was like 10 pounds of stuff crammed into a 5-pound bag, right? And,
right. Yeah.
And it was that same kind of feeling. It's like you finally are in that space where you really can do things and you don't have to worry about stepping on somebody else's toes when you're trying to, you know, when you're working a project. I can walk away from a project and my assistant doesn't get mad at me because I've left it on her space, you know. No, she'll probably tell you I still leave it on her space, but, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure you could ask my staff about the messes I leave behind, and, you know, they would roll their eyes.
So that was a great tour. I appreciate you showing people around. I mean, that's pretty generous. I think,
no problem.
You know, I think what's cool about, one of the cool things that I love about food, but I really love about chocolate is, I mean, I found that people are really giving about information. Like we're not worried about somebody stealing something from us, right? I mean, a recipe, a concept, right?
Right.
Because somebody still has to execute.
Yeah, right? I would say that's been something that's changed over the years since I've been in the business. You know, when I got in, there was, you know, 4 or 5 people in the country, you know, doing stuff, and it was. Not that anybody didn't want to share, it was just not a, you know, big community yet. And how it's grown over the years, especially in the last 5 years, has been pretty fantastic to watch and be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, being here, because I've been at Tomrick now for a while. I've been in Buffalo almost like 13 years, and I left for a little bit, but, you know, I've been pretty much around. And I think how our industry's changed, right? I mean, I think that traditional there's a question about cocoa butter, so don't let me forget. But like
Okay.
that traditional retail confection in the United States that was making ooey gooey caramels, right? And then there was this like movement of really high end chocolate from Europe, right? And that was it, right?
Right.
And what's kind of happened is that those two industries have really come together. And I think about people like you. I think about Michael, also in San Francisco, right? Who's been in the industry a long time,
Right.
you know, and does some really traditional stuff, but also is like leaning on innovation and color and that type of stuff. And that melding has been really cool to watch in this country over the last 10 years.
Yeah, and, you know, like Michael, he's been a huge inspiration. You know, I remember tasting his bonbons in the late 90s, early 2000s when I was kind of getting into this, and have always had such great respect for him. And, you know, John Doyle from John and Kira's was right there when I started, and Fritz Knipschild, and
Norman was obviously there, right?
and Andrew Schatz was at that time, you know, one of the best in the business.
Oh, totally. You know, and I think it's fun to watch an industry mature, right? And kind of go through some variations. Probably not the right word.
Right.
Not the word I was looking for, but you know, the work here.
And evolution, you know.
Yeah. So what's next? I mean, okay? So you've got your dream house, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're never moving again. So famous last words.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, what's the next step? I mean, what do you do? I mean, you have this new innovation lab, right? But I mean, what is it that you want to do next?
I feel like we're settling in finally to a routine after 17 years of, you know, we don't have to worry now about running out of space or moving or, you know, any of that stuff. We can focus on innovation of product, and that's something we've always tried to focus on, constantly doing new stuff every year, and you know, new, you know, not just product wise, packaging wise as well, you know, for holiday seasons. And so we think we're in a good position now to kind of double down on that and really look at, you know, we kind of have this board up in my test kitchen of things we want to start researching, more plant-based products, more, you know, more like reduced sugar, different, you know, just we can now start having the time to get into this stuff. And, you know, we get a lot of requests for that thing, but we were always so busy just trying to keep up with our demand that we never had time to really do those things. So that I think this building is going to allow that moving forward.
Right, but on all your free time, you decided to open a donut and ice cream shop, right?
Yeah, I kind of have a penchant for doing stuff like that. So we opened that last summertime, and it's kind of now on cruise control. Got a good team over there.
Has that been okay in the midst of our world?
It's changed. We've had to adapt. You know, we luckily we're in a really good neighborhood there, so everybody's, you know, it's a place where a lot of people can walk to. And, you know, we've had to change, right? We can't scoop ice cream and serve it individually. We can sell pints to go. We're selling a lot of donuts to go in the morning time. So it's really kind of held its own, and we're doing okay there.
Cool. All right, because I saw a question earlier. There was a question about cocoa butter earlier and what kind of cocoa butters you're using, right?
Yeah, primarily chef rubber. I mean, you know, I'm somewhat of a creature of habit, so to try to get me to change on a product is pretty tough. You know, when we, you know, training the team to work with a specific product, and then I come in and I throw a new chocolate to them or something like that, it really disrupts our production. We have to learn how to use it, how to work with it, and take that time to figure it out. So chef rubber, we do have some chocolate butter you can kind of see behind me that we've started experimenting with as well.
So there was a question too, thanks, mostly gluten-free?
Yeah, most of our stuff is gluten-free, other than, like, you know, one of our Mother's Day collections this year, we're kind of doing this comforting dessert theme, right? So what would, you know, mom make, you know, back home. So apple pie, lemon bar, pecan pie, things like that. So we've got gluten in some of those products, but in our core collection, everything's pretty much gluten-free. And we actually about 10 or 11 years ago sent off all of our products to have them tested,
Right.
And can certify that they are.
So it looks like there's a lot of love for you. It looks like there's a bunch of former employees.
It's all people almost I know on this, employees and friends, and see a lot of the Valrhona team on here. So
yeah, I saw Eric Case popped in for there a second ago.
Evan, yep.
I saw that somebody's suggesting that you should do, tiki drink flavored patafui for some season coming up. I might rip that idea myself for our website before you take that one.
I don't know if you know, I'm a big tiki-phile and rum fan, so I that's kind of a passion and a hobby of mine.
I have a funny story. Hold on. I'll be right back.
That was the time for a drink?
What did I miss? What were we
time
talking
for a drink?
No, okay. So, all right. So, as some of you know, we teach classes here at Tomrick. We have a full training and teaching lab here that we do about 16 16-person hands-on classes 4 or 5 times a year. We are still trying to get Chris to come out and teach a class because he promised he would. So, I'm going to hit you up again in 2021.
The promise is still there. So.
All right. So one of our instructors was like, you need to get this $80 bottle of rum. It was this weird rum that I found online, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. So we bought our classic
Plantation
5-year-old bottle of rum.
Yeah.
However, there's enough Nielsen Massey vanilla beans in here now that whenever we scrape a vanilla bean, we put it in here. That I think even you would like it.
You'd like that? Okay. Well, I am going to show you something. I wasn't going to do this, but
we'll save it for you.
Since everybody's been talking about rum and tiki drinks, it seems like we're going to go into this walking room here.
Hey, why don't we design a custom mold for you that's like a little tiki god?
Let's do it.
You want to do it?
Let's do it.
Hey, here's a question. If we do it, can we put it in our line, but it's your mold? You get it for 3 months or something?
Yeah,
and then
as long as you agree to that, that'd be perfect.
We'll pay for it. We'll pay for the mold. We'll pay for the design, and then it will be your mold.
Right.
It'll be like a little. We could do a whole selection of little tiki guys, all Brady Bunch style.
Oh, perfect. So hey, this is my walk-in cooler. Might be a little too dark in here.
So it's not really a walk-in cooler, is what you're telling me.
Not really a walk-in cooler. This is my little rum bar. So.
Oh, now I've got to come back to Kansas City. When can I go to the airplane? I bet you it's $14 right now to fly to Kansas City from Buffalo.
Yeah. Everybody's welcome. So we'll have some tiki cock about that.
We'll get Eric Case to come out too. We'll get Eric to come out.
I'm sure he could do that. Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, I'm super into cocktails and collecting rum. From traveling, it's pretty fun. So this has been something that's been in the works for a long time. So we have frozen drink Fridays and do some fun stuff. So.
Wow, look at all the comments now. People are
right.
You were like Mr. Cool. People were loving you 15 minutes ago, watching the comments. Now, you are the best chocolatier in America.
Yeah, it just took building a little speakeasy in our building. So. It's fun.
All right, man. Well, you probably got work to do, and we've been talking for 30-some minutes. You got anything else? I don't know.
Are there? Yeah.
I like jabbing with you. This is fun.
Kind of more chocolate related, not booze related. So
I like the fact that I asked you, is that a walk-in cooler behind you, and you said, yeah, it's just a walk-in cooler. Now people are quoting yourself.
Right.
So I don't know. You don't have to answer this. Are you self-funded or do you have investors?
I've got investors. Yeah, I got a group of friends that have invested, and a lot of it went to we own our building. We own all our buildings here in Kansas City. So we've been that's another thing a long way to go to shoring up our business is acquiring real estate.
Got it. So, but not in California, probably.
Not in California. It's a little pricey out there. So,
so this is another question. So when you ship refrigerated to California, like by the pallet,
Right.
you ship overnight to California for like cooler boxes, I'm assuming, with
Yeah, it depends
refrigerated.
it really depends on the time of year. I mean, we look at the weather, when we have something to ship, we look at the weather at pretty much 3 points, right? When it leaves here, what's the weather like? Where's the FedEx hub it's going to? We know the route it's going to take. And then where's the end destination? And that determines how we ship things. So that's going to determine whether it can go ground or has to go overnight. It's going to determine whether we can use or have to use an insulated box with a gel pack. We ship year round. Even in the summertime, we can ship to Hawaii, with the insulated boxes and packaging that we have.
Right.
It just takes, that was something we learned over the course of 6 or 7 years of really how to get really, really good at shipping our product.
Right. Favorite origin for cacao?
Favorite origin is probably Madagascar is probably still always going to be my favorite, and that was my kind of my first origin trip I went on with the Valrhona crew was to Madagascar, so it definitely has a special place in my heart.
Speaking of that, I haven't complained today, so I'm going to complain briefly. I was supposed to go to Ecuador 2 weeks ago with the Republica de Cacao team, so which all got canceled because of all this funness in our world. But hopefully, I will get re-invited.
Yeah, Ecuador's great. I've been on that trip with them. It was awesome, and yeah, I've had 2 origin trips canceled because of this situation. So hopefully, we'll be able to get those dialed back up after this is all over.
Who's your favorite Napa chocolatier?
Napa Chocolatier. Good question. Is there any up there?
Is anybody I don't know. Is anybody making chocolate in California?
Yeah, Chris Collar. I see him on here. So
I want to know the story about the keto nights, but you can tell me later.
yeah, that's for off Instagram. So.
Got it. Hey, Chris, thanks for spending some time with us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Any other last minute questions for anybody? And also, I always tell everybody, go ahead and if they want to email chris@elbowchocolates.com with any questions, be happy to answer them.
So what's your favorite product that you make?
Rochers. So that's always been my best confection every time I go to Paris is trying everybody's Rochers and coming back and working on that product for us here. So.
Cool, man.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for everybody for joining. I see a lot of good friends on here and peers, so fun to catch up with everybody.
Yeah, this has been great. And so we do this every Tuesday on Facebook and Instagram. We're going to do a demo on shell molding this week. And then next week, we'll have another Chocolatier chat on Friday. But Chris, thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Talk soon.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Bye.